Our next speaker is a marketing professional turned coach and business founder. Her company, Courage Creator, developed the Brave Journal, a tool for coaches, small businesses, and individuals looking to build the virtue of bravery to achieve their goals and dreams. Before transitioning to full-time entrepreneurship, our guest had held various senior roles in communication and marketing in France, England, and the United States in both agency and corporate environment, where she specialized in managing international campaigns for tech and B2B companies. VirtualPreneurs, our next speaker is Courage Creator and Brave Journal Master, I should say, CEO Vanessa McDonald.
Hi there. Hi, Ruben.
Thank you very much, Vanessa, for joining the summit.
Pleasure to be here.
Can you, to set perspective to things, can you share to all our listeners and audience what you do right now?
Yeah. So I am the founder of a company called Courage Creator. Courage Creator offers leadership coaching around the topic of bravery and specifically transformation. And I also, through the company, sell the Brave Journal. The Brave Journal is a tool specifically targeted at coaches, entrepreneurs, or small business owners, and anyone who is really looking to make a measured transformation in their life. So what that means is set a goal, actually track it for a finite period of time, and be able to measure and achieve that goal, and particularly one that scares you. So that's where the bravery piece comes in.
This topic is really interesting to us, considering that we're in a time of pandemic and there's so much fear out there, and people are feeding on, most of these content creators right now are feeding on fear to really get some impressions. So in your own business, how is COVID-19 affecting your business?
So I think, like all of us, we had to look at sales and the idea of brand. It felt icky for me to be selling any kind of product, selling the high ticket VIP leadership coaching that I was doing. And so I looked at how can I use this as an opportunity to educate, to inspire, because the message, you're absolutely right, has been a lot of fear. And what happens in fear is that everybody stops and waits. And actually, bravery is the exact opposite. You need to go forward through that fear and achieve what you need to do, because we still have mouths to feed, we still have mortgages to pay or rent to pay or whatever the case may be. So how can you serve a community? Because right now that is the currency that we all have, it's attention. So I pivoted my business in the first couple of weeks by offering the back pages of the Brave Journal for free. And that's basically where you go once you come up with your goal, and you work each day on one action towards something that scares you. So the page was created to just allow people to do that if they needed just a guide. I'm a very much a systems thinker, so I work well with writing it down each day and being able to, I have to get the ideas out of my head. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs are that way as well. So this was one of the first things I did. I think the other thing is I started to just go live on my Instagram for Brave Journal almost every day and offer just aspects of what is the opportunity in this for you? How can you see this from a different way? Because everything in life is how we see it. So how can you switch your mindset from one of fear, where you're watching the news and you're waiting for the world to tell you how to act, where you can go forward? Now is really the time to access your inner leader. And that's really what bravery is about, is listening to your own inner guru. The age of the guru is done. It's time to go forward with with your own ability to lead your own life.
Well, it seems that you believe that everyone has an inner leader in them.
I do. I really believe that. I think it's not coming from a place of ego, and we should certainly always listen and learn and be curious about other thoughts and points of views that we can incorporate. But I'm sure that any entrepreneur who's listening to this understands this feeling of when you take the moment to listen to what feels right in your body, you are often making the right decision from your gut than when you're taking on the information of other people.
By the way, to those who have listened, to those who are just listening, and Vanessa is giving away a portion of the book via couragecreator.com. Please feel free to check below this video. There's a link to the website. And would you want them to also be able to connect with you, Vanessa, if they want to?
Yeah, so I offered when I first sent this out to my community, it was distributed through my newsletter.
Mhm.
Was that you can go through it. It's daily, but then you can also, if you need some help coming up with your goal for right now, because the Brave Journal is centered around this idea of a brave bet, which is that you make a decision on one goal and you work consistently towards that over a finite period, 21
Mhm.
days. So it's short. It's really about changing your state. So I've also offered, and anyone in your community who needs this, if they're not sure how to create that brave bet for themselves, happy to support them in that. So they can reach me through the website.
So please feel free to check below this video. Definitely you will have access to how you can connect with Vanessa directly. Now, Vanessa, uh, in your own insight as an expert in this topic, how do you think COVID-19 is changing the way we're doing business right now?
I think we are trimming a lot of fat from what's around. And what I mean by that is that those who are looking at ways they can serve their community, whether it's through free resources or just providing real value, are going to be the ones who thrive, in my opinion. And that means that you're really looking at your customer. What do they need right now? What can you offer? Don't try and force down their throat some kind of sale that is irrelevant. So I'll give an example from my leadership practice. It had primarily been focused on career rut because people were stuck in career ruts and needed bravery to move them out or to ask for a promotion. That is not the message for 2020 April or May. It was the message in January and February. So I had to remove all of that kind of language out of website copy, social media posts, and anything that I was sharing, because it's now about how to create leadership through uncertainty, how to
Mhm.
access your own leader through uncertainty. And I think everyone should be looking at their business in that way. How can I pivot? How is my message relevant? Because all of us have the ability to do that.
Now, uh, we have uh, we have a lot of businesses who are really affected. Brick and mortar businesses,
Mhm.
they are really affected by the quarantine, the lockdowns that's being implemented by the local governments in their area. Uh, in your own opinion, in what way can they survive and strive in this crisis?
So I'm not an expert on brick and mortar because, of course, I sell through online. I
Yeah.
have sold my product through some brick and mortar shops, particularly yoga studios, that sort of thing. And one of the things those are people in my community I've seen them do, which I just think is brilliant, is they have pivoted their business to offering online courses. So it's again focused on building their brand, building their community, and serving their community instead of necessarily sales. If we continue in this position, maybe they transfer to a subscription service so that people can, keep them in business. I've also seen them band as communities. So the local gyms are all getting together. These are people
Mhm.
who would have seen themselves even in January as competitors, but they're
Mhm.
working together. They in Canada particularly doing that so that the government, who is supporting a lot of people through employment, insurance services, are also going to be looking at freelancers and support. So they have power in the group that they didn't have as individuals previously. So it's about looking at what your business needs. Are there other businesses around it that could have similar needs? And together as a community, rising and supporting each other, which is, I think, one of the most amazing things to come out of this, is how we're helping each other to stay afloat.
Now, in terms of those entrepreneurs stuck at homes and wants to become productive, what are the suggested activities that you want them to do to remain productive?
So I think there's things that I'm sure I had the exact same thing happen. I'm sure everyone did this. They just watched a bunch of news the first couple of weeks and then
Yeah.
start to get really anxious. And then, so I stopped watching the news. I minimize it. Obviously there's things that are important. And I would say keep a low information diet on traditional news, because we know now there's some core things we all know. Wash your hands, don't touch your face, don't go
Mhm.
outside, right? So there's not too much more you're going to learn. It starts to affect your inner well-being. So I minimize the amount of time. That was number one. Some of us are in places where we get the opportunity to go outside and go for a walk. If you have that, take it. If you don't, make sure that you're at least doing 20 minutes of some kind of movement a day. I notice my mental state is totally different on the days that I have been able to get out for a walk versus the days that I just sit and work through because, oh, let me be productive. Be good to yourself. It's not really about productivity right now. It's about doing one or two core things that you have this incredible pause to use. So maybe that's invest in yourself. Maybe that's read a book that's been sitting on your shelf. Maybe it's bake bread. Everybody seems to be baking bread in Canada. I don't know if it's the same for you.
Everyone becomes chef.
Everyone became a chef. So I think that's great. That's exactly what you should be doing. Use a different part of your brain. Remember that this is actually a really nice moment to be with family and friends. I've seen friends and have cures for autoimmune diseases because they're just a little bit less stressed. They're cooking instead of eating out every day. And it's, look, there is a bright side to it. And if I could add just one more thing, start with gratitude, because that for me, mentally was the place that I had to go back to, where I just remembered to write 3 things in the morning of what am I grateful for. My family are thankfully healthy and happy. We have food in the fridge, and I get to work on a business that I love every day. And that's all, but that's good enough. And start with the things that you can at least be grateful for and move on from that place. And your whole productivity mindset changes when you begin with a moment of, I have enough.
Wow. I think that is really timely, considering that people are so much dwelling on fear right now, and as you can see, the reaction will be always reactive to what's the government's doing, and then starts ranting until the end of the day.
For sure. And I think all of us are, we feel, I'm trying to be good to myself and not feel bad when there's moments where I just want to know what's going on because it's so crazy, but to remind myself to just not spend an hour in whatever internet hole down the phone or watching CNN. It is what it is. I am not in control of that. I'm in control only of my mental state, and let me focus on that piece.
Wow. What you're saying right now is really powerful, and I hope this will be ingrained to those who are listeners right now. First, you start your day being thankful, attitude of gratitude for that matter, right? Now,
Yes.
in a time of fear, I would like to emphasize the value of courage and bravery. And in your own expertise, Vanessa, how can ordinary people like us or entrepreneurs harness this courage and bravery in a time like this, especially that everyone really needs it now, instantly, at some point?
Great question. So I think all of us have the ability to be inner leaders. And really, for me, the idea of bravery and the reason I created the Brave Journal is that I wasn't listening to my own self, my own inner leader. I was doing what society was telling me. So in my case, it was a corporate job that was well paid, that I loved, but I knew I was capable of more. I knew I was playing small. And so it comes from a place of, where are you playing small? Every single person, I think, and still I have this today, is where you can grow, you can do a little bit more, or you really were supposed to have done that thing that you just keep putting off because it's uncomfortable. So bravery and it is the act of really moving quickly without the thinking of the pain of moving into a new area, moving out of your comfort zone. So let's say you're someone who needs to pivot your business now. So instead of sitting at home and freaking out and watching the news, you have a moment to today take 10 minutes, just time yourself even. I mean, write down 10 things, 10 ideas. Maybe 8 of them are garbage, but 2 of them might be great of what you could do right now for your business. So that's a really practical way of just starting to change your state. It's much easier to do this when you do start with gratitude, because you start to calm your central nervous system and then you can think clearer. Courage is a little bit different. Courage, I think, we had talked about this, was this idea that when you look around every essential worker right now, those who are in hospitals, working in grocery stores, those who are serving as, they're very clear on the risk that they are taking, and they're doing it anyway. They're serving a clearer vision. So courage really comes in from clarity of vision. Right now, I think getting clear on your vision for your business for the remainder of 2020 is going to keep you on a North Star path. So if you know that you need to pivot in order to arrive at December and still have a business, what is that vision look like for you? And when you have that, it's much easier to create the steps backwards and reverse engineer the success to get there.
Yeah, it's interesting that we're really emphasizing now the value of courage and bravery as a core value of a very successful entrepreneur, right?
It is. I think Aristotle is one of the original virtues of the ancient Greeks, and there's a reason for that, because it's the idea of I equate it with growth. So it's the idea of bravery is, for me, the path to move out of my comfort zone. And every time I do that, I grow as a person, I grow my business, I just am better at living life as a human being. And so I know that for me, it's always been when I access the bravery to do that move, because it's easy to stay comfortable, and especially as you get older, you get comfortable in the role that you have, the rent that you pay. Life looks like we create a structure, and that structure starts to suffocate us. So bravery for me is the medium of continuing to break out of that.
Just to define it to all the listeners who is still about to learn the difference between courage and bravery, I think it's high time that you need to let's define it again for people to understand.
Yes, I know. We had talked about this, and I gave the definition. So I'm actually bravery is the action of having or showing mental, physical, or moral strength in the face of danger, fear, or difficulty. Courage, however, is the action of having or showing mental, physical, or moral strength in the face of pain or grief. And I say that specifically, it's because it's the difference of when you're in a state of courage, you know that you're going into something that's risky, that is uncomfortable. It's going to ultimately be uncomfortable for you, like your vision. Bravery is the action you take to get there, but you're not really thinking about the pain. You're just moving forward. In courage, it comes from a much deeper place inside of us, because we know we're going forward into something uncomfortable. So that is how the two definitions are defined for me.
And we really appreciate you, Vanessa, for sharing us those knowledge right now, considering that it is a time of uncertainty, a time of fear, and your explanation and actionable strategies can really help people to really understand themselves better and be very courageous in facing all of these challenges.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any last words to all the local and small businesses, business owners who are listening right now?
My biggest thing is, first of all, I honor you because you are in the work that is the most important. So thank you for doing that. If I can offer anything, it would be to take a moment to remember your why of this business, what you're doing, what you're serving, who you're serving, and how you can serve that community in the state that you are now. We as human beings are infinitely creative and resourceful. And I am certain that even if you take 10 little things and write them down, you're going to come up with a way to serve your community that will ultimately result in sales for you in a trust yourself to be able to do that.
Wow. Thank you very much, Vanessa, for that insightful and actionable strategies you have shared to us. And I hope the priceless actionable strategies you've shared to us on courage and bravery that we have learned today can help our entrepreneur friends who are listening right now to move them through these hard times. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Ruben.
For entrepreneurs, live the great life.